2018 World Bank meeting ends in Bali, assures continued strategies for the improvement of living standard of member nations, as the military says professionalism remains sacrosanct in its dealings. Plus, Nigeria's Commission for Refugees makes case for the internally displaced persons in Geneva. These and more on Panorama today with me, Erosion. Welcome. The annual meeting of the World Bank in Bali, Indonesia, has ended with the federal government assuring it will continue to put in place strategies that would improve the living standards of citizens across board. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed said the overall participation of Nigeria was fruitful and successful. Finance and economic correspondent Leah Katung Babatunde reports.
Meeting of fiscal and monetary policy makers with 189 countries in attendance. The aim is to improve the global economy and promote collective growth. The Nigerian delegation engaged in several meetings and made presentations on the critical areas of human capital development, education, climate change, financial technology, financial inclusion, markets, jobs creation, and revenue mobilization.
On the new presentation of the Human Development Index by the World Bank, where Nigeria was ranked low at 44% on stunting and some other low records against our country. While these results are disheartening and depressing, we nevertheless are not discouraged. Rather, we see this as a wake-up call. We admit that this pervasive action was due to long years of underinvestment in human capital. We have therefore now realized that we have to aggressively address this.
The delegation explained Nigeria's development strategies and efforts to eradicate extreme poverty coming from the poor ranking recorded by both the World Bank and the IMF.
I informed everybody, as they know, that we are working on increasing our revenues so that we can rely less on debt going forward, which is part of the ERGP. The ERGP says that we will borrow initially to get out of recession, to start growing again, and as our revenues pick up, we'll be borrowing less.
Although Nigeria debt to GDP remains fairly okay, debt service concerns were raised, whereas we also raised issues that we are doing everything possible to broaden the revenue base so as to improve the tax to GDP ratio.
Also noteworthy is the assurance that the election year will not pose any threat to the nation's economic prospects. From Bali, Indonesia, I'm Leah Katung Babatunde, NTA News.
And away from Bali, back to Nigeria, erosion-ravaged communities across the country would soon breathe a sigh of relief as the federal government says it is determined to carry out intervention projects to stop further loss of lives and property. Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Professor Stephen Ocheni, stated this while inaugurating the Adiabo Okitikpang Beach Gully Erosion Control Works in Odukpani local government of Cross River State. Umor Basi Edit has details.
Erosion remains one ecological problem which has continued to displace people by rendering them homeless and sometimes taking lives. With this federal government intervention in Adiabo Okitikpang, the potential dangers posed by erosion and flooding have been checked, with the community witnessing a boost in its socio-economic activities.
The President has exhibited the policy of equity, fairness and justice, because he's determined to ensure that the dividend of democracy of the present administration cut across ethnic boundaries, political differences, and religious differences.
Members of the community, including the head of civil service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Oyoita, could not hide their feelings as they recalled how they lost lives and property to the gully erosion and overwhelmingly endorsed President Buhari for a second term.
My late father died fighting for this land to be rehabilitated. And to think that God has given me the opportunity to witness this day is a day of joy for me and all my sisters and brothers.
There's no road to the beach. Now you see the beach there. Can enjoy the atmosphere.
In Odukwane local government area of Cross River State, Umo Basidate, NTA News.
And away from Cross River State now, the federal government says for enhanced professionalism of the armed forces in discharging its constitutional role of defending the nation's territorial integrity, priority and support will continue to be tops in the Buhari administration. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun reports that this was reiterated by the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, who stood in for President Muhammadu Buhari at the inauguration of the 65th regular course of the Air Force at the Nigerian Air Force Base in Kaduna.
62 members of the 65 regular Air Force cadets of the Nigerian Defense Academy, comprising a police Air Force and one Togolese Air Force, assembled for the conferment of their presidential commissioning, unveiling of their ranks by their family members, and presentation of parchment into the Nigerian Air Force. The president, represented by the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, acknowledged that the cadets are graduating at a time when the country is facing many contemporary security challenges, hence advised them not to allow themselves to be induced towards undermining the country's security.
Government is taking all necessary measures to safeguard lives and properties and to stem out all forms of criminality across the country.
The president also gave assurance of his administration's determination towards enhanced training of the Air Force for optimum performance in national defense and security.
I want to charge all of you to be prudent and do more with resources provided and to embrace the policy of zero tolerance for corruption.
The pilot officer cadets will be deployed to their various assigned units for further training in Air Force operations. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun, NTA News.
Many thanks, Suleiman. And still talking security, officers and men of the 302 Artillery Regiment General Support Nigeria Army in Onitsha have been enjoined to be responsive professionals and ensure sanity within the areas of responsibility ahead of the 2019 general elections. Corps Commander, Nigeria Army Corps of Artillery Major General Abubakar Atafa gave the charge while on operational visit to the regiment. Ekene Ndulwe has details.
Major General Abubakar Tafa, who took over in April as Commander, Nigeria Corps of Artillery, is currently on a familiarization tour of formations and units under the 82 Division Area of Responsibility. Arriving 302 Artillery Regiment Onitsha, Major General Tafa was taking round the existing facilities for on-the-spot assessment by the Commander, 302 Artillery Regiment, Colonel Yakubu Buala. Addressing the officers, Major General Tafa commended those who recently returned from the Northeast while assuring them that the army hierarchy is poised towards improving their welfare as well as ensuring discipline.
As part of the Chief of Army Staff vision is to ensure that we are ready to carry out our constitutional responsibility, and training is one of the most important aspects.
The commander further enjoined the officers and men of the army to remain apolitical and to abide by the Army Code of Conduct as Nigeria gears towards the 2019 general elections. Major General Tafa will continue his tour in other units and formations under the 82 Division. In Onitsha, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
And away from security now, looking at the 2019 general elections, full autonomy for the Independent National Electoral Commission and recourse to professional media work ethics are being canvassed by stakeholders towards actualizing credible elections in Nigeria. This formed the discuss at the technical session of the 14th Nigeria Guild of Editors Conference in Asaba. Eloho Abara reports that the Director General, NTA, was represented by the Executive Director, News, Mohammed Labo.
Traditional media, prospects and challenges, digital journalism, turning data to money, and ensuring violence-free election in 2019 were the topics various resource persons and other discussants dwelt on.
Politics is a service and not a command position. To lord it over other citizens of the country.
At the executive session, the host governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, and his counterparts from other states represented spoke on credible elections in 2019. Governor Okowa noted that the media must be at the forefront in the crusade of credible elections. He advocated for a change of INEC's funding for it to be truly independent.
I do not believe on my own that any election has gotten to the level of credibility in this country that we can beat our chest to say yes, we have gotten it right. We are still very far from getting it right, and it is our hope and prayer that we'll continue to work hard to improve on our preparations.
We are more than just a reporting medium. We play the role of integration and cohesion, enhancing, facilitating the unity of the nation.
The conference ends on the 14th of this month, while inspection of projects executed by the state government in the last 3 years takes place Saturday. Elo Agbra, NTA News.
Many thanks, Eloho. And away from Asaba, we move to Enugu, where the Director General, Voice of Nigeria, and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Osita Okechukwu, has advised Nigerians and Igbos in particular to take a deep breath before celebrating the emergence of the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate, the former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi. Mr. Okechukwu, who gave the warning in Enugu, says the euphoria is unwarranted. Beauty Egobamie reports.
Mr. Okechukwu said from his own observation, it is still better to stay on with President Muhammadu Buhari because he has laid the foundation for an enviable economic future for Nigeria. He gave example of the rail projects, massive road rehabilitation across the country, and the various social investment programs which have empowered millions of Nigerians, as well as the school feeding program which has increased school enrollments.
President Muhammadu Buhari is voted for. The tendency is for him to complete all these programs to the peak of about 80% by 2023. If when a lot of states are self-sufficient in food production, they might not care about the oil.
He further warned that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar promises of restructuring and serving only one term in office should not be taken hook, line and sinker, as there is no way he will not seek a second term in 2023, thereby foreclosing the chance of Indigbo producing the president.
But all I'm telling the Igbos, and indeed Nigerians, is that all that glitters is not gold. The quick fix promises they are making is neither here nor there. It cannot be actualized the way they are depositing it. To say you can restructure the country under 6 months is fallacy.
The Director General insisted that Nigerians should vote President Buhari again, as he remains the best option for now, more so as he is a man of integrity. In Enugu, Beauty Egobamie, NTA News.
And from politics, we now take a look at health. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, says the laboratory section of the National Tuberculosis Center, Zaria, which was gutted by fire this year, will be rebuilt soon, in line with the federal government's commitment to the eradication of the disease. The minister stated this in Zaria while inspecting facilities at the center. Tina Turu reports.
Facilities at the center and pledge the commitment of the federal government in ensuring that it delivers on its mandate. This has become necessary in line with the concern expressed by President Muhammadu Buhari on eradication of tuberculosis at the just concluded United Nations General Assembly.
Well, one of the promises we've made is to network with our partners to make sure that we put in more resources there, and that is going to happen. We will also take care of this center in our 2019 budget proposals, so that this center can really be first class, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa.
The National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Training Center supports the field training of health workers and community volunteers in tuberculosis management and control, among others.
We have carried out training at various centers, and then during your time, sir, we are proud to say that we have constructed and implemented additional leprosy ward, which is a 20-bed capacity.
The laboratory unit of the center was gutted by fire in March this year. Earlier, the minister was at the Emir of Zazzau's palace to solicit his support in sensitizing the people on personal hygiene. In Zaria, Tina Turu, NTA News.
And if you just joined us, you're watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. More to come after this break. To stay with us.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
So glad to have you back. Sequel to the declaration of a state of national disaster in more than 5 states of the country, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has deployed monitoring teams led by its Director of Search and Rescue, Air Commodore Akugbe Iyamu, to close up the gaps in the distribution of relief materials to the affected areas. The team, during their visit to Asaba Delta State, made strong commitment to ensure direct distribution of relief items to people that are in actual need. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
In one of the IDP camps in Ogbafo, where a total of 1,144 IDPs are taking refuge, the NEMA Director for Search and Rescue and other officials joined the IDPs for breakfast. This is in order to give them a sense of belonging.
Ogbafo camp, and this is the breakfast that prepared.
While addressing the IDPs in various camps, Air Commodore Iyamu reassured them of the agency's commitment to the strict monitoring of the direct distribution of relief items to them. He said farmland destruction assessment teams have been dispatched to various communities affected by the flood. Findings by the teams, he explained, will lead to actionable recommendations to the federal government on a possible compensation.
What the DG is saying is that this thing must get to the people on the ground, not through any middleman or anything. Taking material from the warehouse, distribution, you must include SEMA, Red Cross, and other stakeholders. You will report to headquarters every day.
And as I see the presence of the federal government here, I know that our conditions here will improve.
Some of the IDPs thanked the federal and state government for the proactive intervention.
Very, very well. I'm very, very happy.
As we see people today, we are very happy.
In a humanitarian one-on-one encounter, Air Commodore Iyamu donated the sum of 20,000 naira to one of the IDPs, Chinenye Thomas,
You have to
in
thank
the pursuit of higher
the Director
education.
General.
NTA News observes that the flood waters are gradually receding. From Asaba Delta State, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And staying with the issues affecting the IDPs, the federal government is in the process of finalizing a health scheme under the NHIS to make healthcare accessible to internally displaced persons in Nigeria. This was contained in the report presented to the 69th session of the Executive Committee of the United Nations High Commissioners Program in Geneva, Switzerland. Joy Osiago reports that Nigeria's Federal High Commissioner for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Sadia Umar Farouk, also requested that UN agencies should assist Nigeria in the resettlement process.
United Nations member states are here to gauge the current national humanitarian response mechanism in comparison to what is obtainable in other parts of the world and international best practice.
Excellency,
Nigeria's Sadia Umar Farouk highlighted the nation's efforts, stressing that it carries out protection monitoring activities to identify the needs of refugees and internally displaced persons in the country.
Host communities in Nigeria continue to share their limited resources with refugees and have made farmlands and petty jobs available to some of the refugees. Core assistance, however, is becoming tense as local resources have been overstretched for more than 8 months since the beginning of the influx.
She also asked for the support of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and other UN agencies in the management of internally displaced persons in Nigeria.
Currently, there are approximately 1.9 million internally displaced persons in Nigeria, mainly in the northeast region, which has become a situation of serious protracted displacement. Nigeria IDPs face numerous challenges such as lack of adequate water, shelter, food and education facilities for displaced children. They also face protection challenges as many of them are subjected to sexual and gender-based violence.
Nigeria is looking forward to the adoption of the Global Compact on Refugees in New York by the end of the year. Joy Usiago, NTA News.
And now talking sports, Team Leadway garner more points in this weekend's NCC Tennis League matches played in Lagos as sports in Africa intensify efforts in popularizing mixed martial arts in Nigeria. Olumide Eguntola has details on Sports Update.
It was a 7-0 landslide victory in favor of Team Leadway Assurance that paraded more experienced players at the expense of their youthful opponents, Next Generation, in this weekend NCC Tennis League matches decided at the National Stadium in Lagos. Former champion Abdulmumin Babalola led his side to victory in all matches played.
The sky is the limit for these guys. If they are encouraged and empowered, they can play in the international turf.
I think the standard has risen very well. We have a lot of intermediates who have become good senior players.
In its bid to make mixed martial arts more popular in Nigeria, provide jobs for the unemployed, and encourage economic growth, the President's Warrior Sports in Africa, Jeff Taylor, alongside some concerned Nigerians, have concluded plans to stage the first Warrior Sports Championship in Nigeria next year.
Much love and opportunity here to create more momentum in West Africa.
We intend to promote it to a large continuum of people and make a lot of people know about the sport, get involved in the sport, help to grow the sport.
Among other successful Nigerian athletes in the sport is Horatius Ndidi, who defeated the Brazilian opponent to become the middleweight champion in July this year. In another development, Ondo State chapter of the National Association of Physical Health, Education, Sports and Dance, NAFA on Saturday in Akure, organized the 5th edition of walking jogging exercise. The participants walked jog from the starting point through Ojoba, Old Garage, Oyemekun Road before ending the exercise at Ondo State Sports Complex with a session of stretches anchored by the general manager, Ondo State Sports Council.
There is still for us to encourage physical fitness and mental alertness among all Nigerians, irrespective of your discipline in the course of your studies.
I also want to encourage the professionals in physical exercises to keep up the good job.
The program is aimed at promoting public wellness. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And with sports out of the way, now time to take a quick look at the weather picture across the country.
Being there, I am Susan Opera with the weather forecast for Monday.
Observation shows that places like Maiduguri and Kano reported temperature values of 38 and 35 degrees Celsius, with humidity level of 46% and 50% respectively. This is an indication that the active weather zones are gradually moving southwards, and as such, we expect fair weather in partly cloudy to cloudy condition over the north, down to the central and the inland cities, with chances of light rains over the southwest coast and thunderstorms over the southeast coast during the morning hours. And by afternoon and evening hours, we expect scattered thunderstorms over the coast up to the inland cities and the central region, while condition over the northern region is expected to remain unchanged throughout the forecast period. And that's it from here. I am Susan Opara. Have a lovely week ahead.
And that wraps up our package on Panorama today. Many thanks for watching. Do join us at 4 for Nationwide.